Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath and and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to our yoga podcast, which specializes in the wisdom of ancient India and how to apply it to life to upgrade the quality of your life. You know why? Because life is short.
And
Want to upgrade it.
okay. For a second there, I thought you said yoga podcast. I was like, is that
Yoga
just your
bod,
allergies?
It's time to get your yoga bod on. I've been feeling a little flabby. I need a yoga bod. Oh, yeah. How are you, Kaustubha? So Kaustubha is in the other room, so our mics won't. So he's in the other room there. I'm here with him. Mara did not show up. She used to come every day, and she made a vow when she moved out of Chatham. She it is my vow, it is my loyal vow to come every day. Then the pandemic happened, and she had a very good out. It's legitimate by the governor. No go anywhere. But now things are like a little looser. Kaustubha's even here. I got a room load of teacher trainees here. They're like just, Bob Healy's here, the crew, Damodar Priya. I still can't get Mara over here. I'm trying to figure out what it is. I think I might have offended her. No, she says
Didn't offend me.
Didn't
No.
offend. Okay.
She does not accept offense. Even if you did offend her.
That is the beautiful thing about Bhakti Yoga. We don't take offense. We don't harbor and keep a vault of resentments. What does it say in the Bible? In Corinthians?
Oh, yes, Corinthians.
Love means to keep no records of one's wrong. Isn't that beautiful? It's something they read at marriages a lot. Love means to keep no records of wrong. Ever keep records of people's wrongs? It's like
Suppose. Mental
like,
records.
Oh yeah. Not actual tangible like in a file cabinet, but like mental file cabinets of, oh yeah, how about the day you did this? You think I ever forgot about this?
And you know what happens when you do that? You keep going to the file and pulling them out, right? Like throughout the day.
Throughout the day, throughout your life.
Yeah.
And this is part of Bhakti is we have to burn those files.
Let it go.
And we burn them quickly. We try to burn them immediately. We don't even let it stick. It's important. Got to be straightforward. Me and Mara had a very we had one of those moments yesterday. We got on the phone, we worked stuff out. We were going through some stuff and we worked it out. Remember, Mara? Wasn't that? I felt like that.
Was nice.
I walked away from that and I felt like that was so healthy.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It was nice.
It was
Be able to
nice,
air
right?
everything, yeah.
We had an issue. Me and Mara had an issue with each other.
I'm dying to know the issue now. Maybe
You're not
that's
gonna tell
crying
you.
or something like that.
No. We can't tell you, but there was an issue.
Okay.
And our phone got sort of cut off, and we never finished the issue. So all day I was like, I got to clear up this issue with Mara. And then we cleared it up, and that resolution, and it wasn't like we were all like hugged and made up. It was like we just worked out stuff. Like I was like, this is what the practice of satya is like. It's like being truthful and being straightforward and working out deals and saying how The relationship is so much more valuable than any little detail. And when did it on phone, but if you were here, I would have like bowed and touched your feet. What I would have done if you were here personally. I touched your virtual feet online.
I wouldn't have accepted it. I would have touched your feet probably.
We're just running in
Virtual
circles,
battle.
chasing each other's feet. But yeah. But I came in the other room blissful, and Bobby Marchand was here. And she's like, "Why are you so happy?" I was like, "Me and Mara just had a beautiful breakthrough." Isn't that nice? So, let's get into the Bhagavatam, Mr. Kaustubha. It was fun having Kaustubha sleep over.
There were no baked cookies that you promised for about a week now.
Were there a
I didn't
pillow
take him
fight?
swim. There was
No
there was a
pillow
little
fight.
pillow fight.
Well, I didn't bring that up because I'm not particularly interested in the pillow fight.
He was sleeping during the pillow fight. He didn't realize it was happening. All right. Anyway, people are new to the show. This whole thing doesn't even make sense. What do you say we read this book of wisdom? Any other announcements we want to make?
Yeah.
Tuesday's Krishna's appearance. You know that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have Raghunath Swami on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll have Gauranga, incredible monk from the Radha Gopinath Temple in Mumbai. He's going to share with us all the principles that they live by there. That's
Super
on
monk.
Sunday at the regular time of 8 a.m. Eastern Time.
And he's He's going to share with us secret principles of becoming a monk. Maybe some of you guys are interested. Secret monk mantras that only monks know. Secret monk techniques to control your chakras. Perhaps.
And but another announcement. The last 2 podcasts have not been posted on Apple Podcasts.
What the hell is going on?
So I don't know if this helps me saying this here, but
Damodar Prue
because they won't be able to see
crying.
it. It's still on Spotify and other platforms. So we got to figure that out.
Spotify? Did you check Stitcher?
Yeah, it's there on Spotify. Of course, it's on YouTube.
Okay.
But we got to figure that one out.
Okay, let's get to the bottom of that. And apologies. All right, let's dive into the sweet nectarian ambrosial.
Yeah, I was going to say, also, we didn't mention that yesterday was the 200th episode.
That's exciting. 200? That's years going by.
Yeah, it is. We did, out of 218 or 219 days, we did 200. And that's not bad.
We missed 2 days this whole year?
No, let's work on the math here. Okay.
You said out of 200 days, we've missed what?
No, I said 200, it was either 219 days. We did 200 shows.
All right, we missed 19 days. That's not bad, right?
Not bad. Yeah, not bad out of 219.
Yeah. I don't even remember missing 19 days. When did we miss 19?
Well, we missed a bunch in Vrindavan. That was the biggest chunk.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We missed a few when you went to California. We missed a few when you got bit by the black fly and got black fly fever. We missed a couple.
It seems like I'm to blame for all these missing days.
We missed a few when you went out to California. And we missed a couple because you were doing full day retreats for the Bhakti Center online. And that's pretty much it. Maybe there was there some problem with Zoom one day? There was a problem with Zoom one day when everybody got on Zoom.
Seems like somebody's keeping a record of wrongs. Here's the file on Raghunath. You've got every day.
I've been ready to go.
On March 14th, it seems like you called in sick.
There's a black fly incident.
A black fly. Fabricated story. Oh, it was a black fly that bit me. You never heard of black fly fever? Okay, let's get to the bottom of this. Let's start the Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 1.
Almost done with Canto
chapter
1.
19. Almost done with chapter, yeah, and we are in text
4.
Okay, the reading of the secret mantras. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devyam saraswatim vyasam tatojayam mudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead, Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. My regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam end by rendering service to the pure devotee. All that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Does it sound great with all these people saying it in the background?
You know what I was going to say, Raghu?
Can you hear that? What?
I think because earlier you were listening to Vishnu Sahasranama, that you chanted with like more precision.
You know, maybe that was it. Before the show, we were playing 1,000 Names of Vishnu. Hey, can I make an announcement? Next Saturday, I'm doing an all-day class in Long Beach Island for those Jerseyites who want to show up. You're invited. And then the following weekend, I'm doing an all-day class at Bob Healy's place. His parents have a big place in South Jersey. What's the town called?
Lumberton, New Jersey.
Lumberton, New Jersey. So the first one, you got to go through Yoga Bohemia. Google that, Raghunath, Yoga Bohemia. How do they find? Oh, and the next one you find out through Palo Santo.
20 minutes outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's
Palo
20
Santo
minutes
Wellness?
outside of Philly. Palo Santo Wellness in Philly. It's on their website. They're hosting the program. So I hope to see. It's fun doing programs now. You know why? Because you meet all these Zoomers that you look at every day and wonder, are they real?
You know,
They're real. AJ Sullivan's real. He's going to show up. I'm going to see him in person.
we just before the pandemic set in and the lockdown set in, we printed out a bunch of like business cards, right? So like when you go to these programs, you can hand someone the card and say, hey, you can listen to the Wisdom of the Sages if you want.
Yeah.
And then we have stacks of them that we never used.
Yeah, I'm ready to wallpaper my house with.
And now we changed the whole branding. It's like the whole thing. Anyway,
Stuba, what can we do right?
what can we do? I don't know.
All right, so let's dive into this sweet ambrosial potpourri. Text 4. While the king was thus repenting, he received news of his imminent death. So the interesting thing was, he said, yesterday we were saying how the king, he was cursed to die. And he felt bad for what he did, and he offended a Brahmin. He felt he offended a Brahmin, and so he said, I accept that there's some karma with this. Bring it on. And then immediately he heard that there is some karma. And not only is it karma, but the karma is that you were cursed to die. So he knew, he almost said bring it on before he even knew it was coming on to him.
Yeah.
So while the king was thus repenting, he received news of his imminent death, which would be due to the bite of the snake bird, occasioned by the curse spoken by the sage's son. The king accepted this as good news, for it would be the cause of his indifference towards worldly things. What a great statement that is. Indifference towards worldly things. Hey, Kaustubha, you're getting a brand new car, buy a new Lamborghini. I'm indifferent. Isn't it sort of cool to be indifferent? It's one of these 6 opulences is renunciation. Like you can actually step away. You're not so interested in all the things that the material world is interested in.
Indifferent.
Indifferent.
So yeah, yesterday we spoke a little bit about like we had like 4 lessons from this curse, and one of them was wise people can see curses as blessings.
Yes.
Right. So he was able to do that. He was ready to just get detached from it all.
He accepted his curse to death as good news.
Good news. Let's read a little of that commentary on it. Prabhupada says, as a devotee of the Lord, he could understand that the cursing of the Brahmana boy, although unwise, was a blessing upon him, being the cause of detachment from worldly affairs, both political and social. Shamika Muni, that's the sage that he put the snake around. Shamika Muni also, after regretting the incident, conveyed the news to the king as a matter of duty, so that the king would be able to prepare himself to go back to Godhead. He said, oh my God, we got to get the message to the king. He's been cursed to die. So he sent a messenger. And so the duty. Shamika Muni sent news to the king that foolish Shringi, his son, although a powerful Brahmana boy, unfortunately had misused his spiritual power by cursing the king unwarrantedly. The incident of the king's garlanding the Muni with a snake was not sufficient cause for being cursed to death, but since there was no way to retract the curse, the king was informed to prepare for death within a week. Both Shamaka Muni and the king were self-realized souls. Shamaka Muni was a mystic, and Maharaj Pariksit was a devotee. Therefore, there was no difference between them in self-realization. They both understand, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. I'm
Something divine.
something divine. So they both got that. Neither of them was afraid of meeting death. Maharaj Pariksit could have gone to the Muni to beg his pardon. Why didn't he go to the Muni to beg his pardon, Raghu?
Why didn't he go to the Muni to beg his
Yeah,
pardon?
there's a personal reason. He was sensitive to something. Maharaj Pariksit could have gone to the Muni to beg his
stumped.
pardon.
Yeah, why
But
didn't he
he
go
says-
personally today?
He said Maharaj Pariksit could have gone to the Muni to beg his pardon, but the news of imminent death was conveyed to the king with so much regret by the Muni that the king did not want to shame the Muni further by his presence there. Like when the messenger came, he said he feels really bad about this. And he knows that if he would have gone and seen him personally, he would have been like, you know? So he just let it be, right? The sensitivity of these people. He
Seems
decided...
like you have to go to that person personally and apologize.
Because now it was like the king had to apologize to him, because what he did to the king was so little, and what the king's son did to him was so big that actually by going there, it would have been like the sage would have had to apologize to him, and he didn't want that.
You know what? It could have been like me and Mara's reconciliation.
Oh, we
You know,
need to
they
hear
could
the
have, like,
detail.
They could have embraced each other. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Let me touch your feet. Let me touch your feet.
It would have been one of those things. So he said he decided to prepare himself for his imminent death and find out a way back to God. He was going to prepare himself for his spiritual goal, like that.
Isn't it weird? It's not weird. It's just so different. Like touching the feet. It's like a thing in India. You wake up, you touch your parents' feet. You bow down, you touch your feet. Where's Aditi? Is Aditi's in the shower? Where's our Indian correspondent? Like, just bowing down in America is weird. No one bows down to anybody. Excuse me, I'm going to bow down to you.
Yeah, Asian cultures, there's a lot more bowing down, isn't there?
There's a lot of bowing. Even little bows, but full-on bows. And then we do the full bows where you're totally flat like a stick. We got to bring that back in America.
Okay.
We don't like hierarchy. We're like anti-hierarchy. But there is no hierarchy. I'm the high, and which really comes down, I'm the highest. No one's higher than me. I like the idea that people are higher than me.
And so the feet is like, even the lowest part of you is higher than me. I bow down even to the lowest
Your
part.
feet are low. I'm lower than your feet. Yeah. I like that. I like to feel that people have some information I don't have. And the thing about bhakti is we're not trying to be we're trying to be the guy at the feet. Yeah. Why? Because we realize, like, when I'm low, I can receive. When I'm low, I can hear. If I'm quiet, I can take in. When I bow down, something opens in that humility where you can receive.
Well, it says the most bountiful branches, they bend low. Raghunath, isn't that true?
Most bountiful branches
bend low, right? If it's got a lot of fruit on it, a lot to offer, bends low. Right? Humility. So actually, we just kind of, with that verse number 4, we kind of conclude that those 4 verses made up a little section that described the king getting the news, right? The news of his curse is being shared with him. And now the next 3 verses, text 5, 6, and 7 to Canto 1, chapter 19. These are going to describe how the king begins to prepare himself, right? And it's going to be interesting that there's some feet, bowing down to feet, connecting to feet going on here. That you just highlighted, but there's also some information here that we really need to look into and try to understand. That it may sound sectarian, it may sound like this is better than that, and I think as we try to go deeper into spirituality, we try to guard against that kind of sectarian mood. But what I want to go at is this isn't actually that. It's something different. All right. So should we read maybe all three of these verses together? 5,
Sure.
6, and 7.
By the way, Aravind, our New Delhi correspondent, just said that just yesterday he touched his parents' feet
Just yesterday.
because it was his birthday. Isn't that nice? It's your birthday. I'm going to touch your feet.
Well, why doesn't he do it every day? What's with that, Arvind?
Well, it's a special day. He wanted to just go out of the.
Okay.
Maybe he doesn't see them every day. Maybe that he's an adult.
Okay. I'm sure there's a good reason. I was just joking, Arvind.
Okay, text 5. By the way, text 4 was very powerful, I felt.
It was very
Into
powerful.
Worldly things.
He was
Text
able to
5.
see the curse as the blessing. That's the wise person.
Maharaj Pariksit sat down firmly on the banks of the Ganges to concentrate his mind in Krishna consciousness, rejecting all other practices of self-realization, because transcendental loving service to Krishna is the greatest achievement, superseding all other methods. Another great verse. This one, I understand. This is the one you mean. It sounds sectarian. But what it is in the material world, there is a gaping hole in the heart. And, I always use these 3 things that I sort of borrowed. I upcycled from the Shikshastikam of Lord Chaitanya. There's 3 things that we're mainly that we're trying to shove into our God-shaped hole. And one is our desire to be validated in the material world. I want people to appreciate me. I'm looking to the left and looking to the right. Do you think I'm of value? Do you think I'm worthy? What do you think of this shirt? Do you like this haircut? Do you like this car that I drive? So the validation of the material world is one path that people are desperate for. And it won't fulfill you. Even if you get all the validation of the material world, it won't fulfill that God-shaped hole in the heart. The second one is, and this is a big one especially, and it's perpetuated by Hollywood, is that desire for Mr. or Mrs. Right. If I only had them in my life, then right now I'm imperfect, but when I get them, that person will make me whole. Fallacy, false. Lord Chaitanya says it's God-shaped hole. You're trying to shove a person, you think a person will make you complete? It's to even hear this sometimes is heartbreaking because you really feel like you're just waiting for Mr. And even if you found Mr. Because sometimes people are in great relationships, it's still a temporary relationship. You can lose that person in a moment, or you could die in a moment, or they could, anyway, it's a temporary relationship. The third one is there's no amount of wealth or material stuff. You could just say stuff, but it could include wealth that will actually fulfill the God-shaped hole. So the material world, the chase is for one of these 3 things. Validation, the soulmate, or some material. Like my life will start when I get this amount of money, when I make this much amount of per year, or my net worth is here, then my life will start. And so we got to put what's in that God-shaped hole. We got to put God in that God-shaped hole. And then there's a perfect fit. And even though this might sound sectarian, this is what the soul is calling for. This is the hunger of the soul. And we see in the material world, there's so many, hey, come on down this path. This is the path. So many very gorgeous dead ends that people run to. They spend their running down these dead ends. And if they could take this one verse very serious, it's from the Shikshastikam that I'm taking a spin off of, these 3 paths. They could save themselves years of climbing a ladder of so-called material success to realize that ladder will never fulfill them when they get to the top. So the real hunger for the soul is that the spirit soul is hungry for spiritual life. Why? Because we're spiritual beings. And then...
hold on, what's the verse? You mentioned you're alluding to a verse. It sounds to me like you're Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim.
Oh, Nadanam Najanam, sorry. Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim. There is not any Sundari, right? No beautiful people There, that's the soulmate, right? Najanam, not Danam. Danam is the
Janam is like, it means like the population, but like followers, right?
yeah. You want followers. It was
Validation.
very, very eloquent. Which is very, very what's the word? It's very, very relevant in these times because when that was first translated into English, followers. I don't want. It means like I don't want fame. I don't want followers. But now with social media, it's like, yeah, I don't want followers. There's no amount of numbers on your Instagram account. You ever see those people have so many numbers that they don't even get numbers anymore? They get like letters. Oh, you got 30K? What the, or you got 40M? I did that interview with Steve Oki. I was like, oh, this guy, I thought he was really big. He's only got 80. I was like, he's got 80M. He's got 80M? They're giving out letters to this guy? This is the, so anyway, there appears like if I get this many more, I'll hit a saturation point of a material life. It never ends. Material life never ends. You can always want more.
Okay, so not Janam, that's the followers.
The followers.
What's the
Sundaram,
Dhanam?
Sundaram is beautiful, beautiful people who think you're adorable, and you're adorable, Kaustubha.
That's the soulmate one?
That's the soulmate. That's what I translated it to.
Okay.
And then
Dhanam.
Dunham, you give money, people giving you stuff. There's no more amount of stuff you can take in. Stuff. Just stuff. I think in the West, we're sort of like over stuff. We're just like, it's so much stuff.
You kidding me? You think people are over it? They're keeping still getting more stuff.
I know, but deep down we know we're over it, but we just keep, we still buy it.
It's what we call chewing the chew.
Yeah, we're chewing the chew.
Okay, so not Dhanam, not Janam, not Sundaram.
Yeah. You know, Prabhupada does, I don't know if Prabhupada made this analogy up, because Prabhupada was pretty expert at making up analogies. He used the analogy of the fish out of water. The fish out of water, no matter what you give a fish just wants to be in the water. We're all spiritual beings. We just want spiritual, like, right, this is why we can sit, this is why we can wake up at 5 a.m. and listen to you and me blah, blah, blahing, because it's spiritual subject matter from the Bhagavatam, and it's like a food for the soul. This is why we can sit in kirtan. We find it's food for the soul. This is like the sort of joy you take away from these teacher trainings, is because it's food for the soul, and you feel like the soul has been nourished a little bit. It's not just because I'm nourishing you and putting on a show. It's because we feel like there's some direction in the heart, and that's what the heart's hungry for. So there's so many metaphysical processes and sort of like, what do you call it? Vedic culture has so many ways to like refine sattva in ways that the Westerners can never believe. But there's a ceiling because the soul always wants connection. And this is what the whole thing about impersonalism is. You can experience the outside the body bliss, but to have that rasa or a sweetness, which the soul always wants, you get it from bhakti, you get it from relationship. The very thing that might even be driving some people crazy, my relationship's driving me crazy, that's because the real relationship is the relationship of the jiva and the source of the jiva. And that, my friends, is called yoga. It's the resurrection of this jiva and the source as the primary relationship in one's life. Drop the mic. Good night, everyone.
All right, so why don't we read all three of these verses and get the whole package.
Okay.
Why don't you read 5 again?
Okay. Maharaj Pariksit sat down firm on the banks of the Ganges. How do you sit unfirm?
It means you move around a lot. You don't, yeah. But like I think it shows something about his intention. I'm going to sit here. I'm not going to move.
On the Ganges, to concentrate his mind in Krishna consciousness, rejecting all other practices of self-realization, because the transcendental loving service, that's love in action, that's Bhakti-yoga, is the greatest achievement superseding all other methods.
Okay. So that might sound sectarian because it sounds like my method's better than this method or something. So we're going to get back to that, but let's hold on to that. Let's note that.
A deity just walked in. Our Indian correspondent. She gives us all. We talked about touching feet earlier, Aditi. Do you touch your parents' feet when you see them?
In Punjabis, we don't touch. Daughters don't touch.
Daughters don't touch in Punjab. That is your lesson today, everyone.
How do they show respect?
How do you show respect? Namaste. It's it's like sort of a
Daughter-in-law's touch.
daughter-in-law's touch.
Daughter-in-law's touch.
The daughter-in-law's touch. So she did a little sort of a back curve, dropping the chin into the shoulders.
What is this like?
Looking up, but dropping the head down. That is
Now breathe in, hold.
hold, kumbuk. Very good, DTG, for that little demo. But if you're a daughter-in-law, hit the dirt. Hit the dirt.
Okay.
Okay.
Text
Maharaj
number 6.
Pariksit sat down firmly on the bank of the Ganges to concentrate his mind in Krishna consciousness, rejecting all their practices. Because of transcendental loving to service to Krishna is the greatest achievement, superseding all other methods. Text 6. The river carries the most auspicious water, which is mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord and tulsi leaves. You see, the Ganges River was initially, it's the Charnamrita. It was poured over the feet of Lord Vishnu, they say. So therefore, that water sanctifies the three worlds, inside and outside, and even sanctifies Lord Shiva and other demigods. So the water, they say that the Ganges is coming down in a different realm. And before it comes down, it's not just on this planet. It is on all the higher planets of the universe, in the material universe. It's landing on each planet. And then the force is so great that they begged Lord Shiva to protect the earth because they thought it was going to destroy the planet. So it lands on Lord. So sometimes you see pictures of Lord Shiva and he's got a river on his head. And then it gets diverted in his dreadlocks. His, what do you call those? Jutties? Call that jutta? And it spreads, and those are the many branches of the Ganga that come onto the planet. And anything else you want to say about?
Well, let's finish this verse. It says, consequently, everyone who is destined to die must take shelter of this river. You know, just a side note, it mentions here Ganges, but like commentators like Jiva Goswami mentioned that actually this is the Yamuna River, because he was in Delhi and that's where the Yamuna flows. But the principle is the same because that's the river where Krishna's feet are being bathed in that river too.
The Yamuna also descends also.
Yeah.
The Yamuna is not of this world.
And so now again, the text 5 said that he began to meditate on Krishna, rejecting all other methods. Is that sectarian? We're going to get back to that. Now this verse says,
It's a little sectarian. I'm just kidding. It's not.
Does that sound sectarian? And then this verse says, and then he took shelter of the river that's Krishna's river, right?
Yeah.
This river is so special because it's related to Krishna. And it also says that even Lord Shiva and the other devas, they take shelter of Krishna's river. Okay, this sounds like, so you're saying Krishna's better than all the other devas? It sounds a little sectarian to me.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And then let's read text 7.
Before you go to text 7, I just want to share something sort of very, very, very Fibonacci on you. I saw this thing on Instagram. This has something to do with what I'm talking about, though. And it was like of the universe. And it was a film, a little film, a mini film. And then the universe getting smaller and smaller. It's going down to America. It's going into somebody. It's going to somebody's face. It's going to somebody's face, and it's going into their, like a mark on their face. It's going to mark on their face, and it's going into their pores, and it breaks it down to the skin, and it breaks it down to the molecules. And the more you go into it, the more you're coming out back into space.
Okay.
Because everything from the broadest picture down to the most finite picture, it almost is like you're almost getting lost in both of them. Like the Fibonacci spiral. It goes on forever, and it's like forever is going. So this is the human body. If we study yoga, we study all the nadis and the pingala and the the surya and the lunar nadi. Pingala and the Ida and the pingala, right? And then there's Sushumna, and then the universe. There's a
Where is he going with this? Where is he going?
I'm going to the universal Shishumna is the descent of the Ganga and the Yamuna. That's what I'm talking about. That's the
Okay.
Fibonacci spiral of today. Okay. That's all I wanted to say. Text 7. You don't think that was relevant?
I'm sure it was. I just can't figure out
Priya's
how.
nodding. If she nods, I'm good with that. Thus the king, the worthy descendant of the Pandavas, decided once and for all, and sat on the Ganges bank to fast until death, and give himself up to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, who alone is able to award liberation. So, freeing himself from all kinds of associations and attachments, he accepted the vows of a sage.
So again, those 3 verses described how he prepared himself. He went out to the river, the holy river, that's related to Krishna. He began to meditate on Krishna, with and then even this verse says that the previous verse said, the first verse said that meditation on Krishna is superior to all other methods. The second verse said this river is so special because it's that it's related to Krishna, so that even all the other devas are purified by it. And then this verse again says that only Krishna is able to grant liberation. Right? Okay. So now what I'd like to examine is, like, how do we understand this is not being a sectarian thing? My God is better than you, or my yoga path is better than your yoga path. Aren't they all the same? Don't they all lead to the same place, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah.
Okay, and to me, this question is one of those questions where there's a thesis and then there's the antithesis, but ultimately there's the synthesis, right?
That was very clever, my friend.
You like that?
Yeah, the thesis and the antithesis and the synthesis. You're good.
Okay.
You're good. Did you
So,
practice that one?
Well, yeah. So, like, the thesis would be, my method is better than you. My religion is better than you. My God is better than yours. Like that. And then the antithesis to that is to say, no. That's such a shallow way to see things. Try to see more broadly than that. That there's truth in all of these paths. That they're all one. And so that's the opposite. And that actually is a deeper level of thought. But there's a synthesis. There's a still deeper level of thought. And I find that truth is commonly like this, right? It goes from, like, the shallow to what's considered to be the opposite of that is more deep. But then ultimately there's a synthesis where there's truth in both of these. And the more refined vision knows how to not just reject everything in the original thesis, but how to understand what about that original thesis is true, what about the antithesis is true, and how they all meet in one synthesis, right? So it's true that commonly spiritual thought or religious thought is approached in a sectarian manner, and in our shallow ways, we think my method, my God, my guru, my path, whatever, is better than yours. And it's in a very shallow way, we see that way due to our own insecurities, our own lack of depth, whatever it may be. And it's also true that people that are wiser can see the similarities in all the different paths and appreciate the similarities in all the different paths, recognize the truths in all the different paths, rather than thinking it's only in my path. So that is a deeper way. But that doesn't negate the truth that there are deeper and deeper places to go, and they're not all the same. So, for instance, like, if I were to say to you, Raghunath, like, the happiness that's found through getting money and buying things, it's the same. That may be your path to happiness, and another person has another path that's like, I'm not interested in money and things. I'm more interested in relationships with people and love. I see that as a higher truth. Now, I would say, yeah, that's a fact, right? Isn't that true? What would you say?
Yeah.
You would say yes. But what if I said, no, 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 all paths are the same, whether it's the path of getting money and buying things or the path of having a deeper relationship with someone? You know, I think the deeper thinker would say, no, no, there's a difference between these two paths and we should recognize the relative differences.
Right.
And so what happens in the Bhagavatam is that it's where the sage Vyasadeva has provided so much Vedic literature, you know, the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Mahabharata, Puranas, and people can get confused that so much is spoken. Sometimes he's saying, if you live a pious, good life, you can get the things of this world. And someone might think that's the highest path. And sometimes he's saying, if you give up the things of this world, realize that you are spirit, that you're beyond this, you can become free of all the sufferings of this world. That's a higher path. But Bhagavatam is going to say, actually, there's something still higher. And so it all begins, and I think this is a nice point because we're coming to the end of the first canto. To go back and look at the beginning of the first canto and see how this all plays out, that there are 3 introductory verses to the Bhagavatam. And then the story begins in text 4. And in text 4, you have a group of sages gathered in the forest. The forest is called Naimisharanya. And they know that the age of Kali, the darker age, is setting in. And they're doing different rituals. We just read about this recently. But they're confused. They don't feel like they're getting to the heart of the matter. And so what do they decide to do? What do they decide to do, Raghu?
Gather together for 1,000-year sacrifice and...
But they've realized we don't feel like we're getting anywhere.
Oh,
so then they,
what's the answer you're saying?
Well, what do they choose to do in that circumstance?
Approach a guru?
They approach Suta Goswami. They said, we're speculating about different ways. There's so much Vedic literature out there, but it seems like we're not getting to the essence of it. But Suta Goswami, here's someone that we can trust. Here's someone, and let's read the verses of what they say. It says, text 4, this is Canto 1, Chapter 1. Once in a holy place in the forest of Naimisharanya, great sages, headed by the sage Shaunika, he's going to be the head of all these sages, assembled to perform a great 1,000-year sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Lord and his devotees. One day, after finishing their morning duties by burning a sacrificial fire and offering a seat of esteem to Suta Goswami, the great sages made inquiries with great respect about the following matters. The sages said, respected Suta Goswami, you are completely free from all vice. Now we're going to hear about like what a guru is supposed to be like, right? You're completely free from all vice. You are well versed in all the scriptures, famous for religious or dharmic life, and in the Puranas and in the histories as well. So you know the Puranas, you know the Vedas.
It's interesting, like they're speaking of the Puranas as always existing.
Yeah, it's because it was all handed down orally, right? You know the histories, the Itihasas, the Puranas. For you have gone through them under the proper guidance and have also explained them. Being the eldest learned Vedantist, okay, we're all trying to understand the meaning of the Vedic literature, of all this yoga literature, but you're the eldest and you're the most learned, O Suta Goswami. You are acquainted with the knowledge of Vyasadeva. All of the great yogic literature written by Vyasadeva, you're acquainted with it all. And you also know other sages who are fully versed in all kinds of physical and metaphysical knowledge. So you got a really wide base of learning. And then his personal qualities, right? He's not only learned, but he's got these personal qualities. And because you are submissive, your spiritual masters, your gurus, they have endowed you with all favors bestowed upon a gentle disciple because you had the right disposition, the right humility, right? That your gurus blessed you so that you could understand everything. Therefore, you can tell us all that you have scientifically learned from them. Now listen to this, text 9. It says, please therefore, being blessed with many years, explain to us in an easily understandable way. And this is what the Bhagavatam is meant to do, right? These are the questions that lead to Suta Goswami beginning to speak the Bhagavatam. Please explain for us in an easily understandable way what you have ascertained to be the absolute and ultimate good for the people in general, right? If you take all the yoga literature, give us the essence that brings the highest good for people. And do you know the term used there, Raghu?
Give me a hint.
Starts with the word Atma.
Atma supersidity.
Yeah, Atma supersidity, right? Complete satisfaction to the soul, complete satisfaction to the Atma. All of the Vedic literature, some of it's leading here and some of it's leading there, but what leads to the complete satisfaction of the soul? Not partial. Then they say, "O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men almost always have short lives. They're quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed." Right? That's what it's like in the world today, right? And they knew that age was coming. And so they said, there are many varieties of scriptures, all this yoga literature out there. And in all of them, there are many prescribed duties, which can be learned only after many years of study in their various divisions. Therefore, O sage, please select the essence of all these scriptures and explain it for the good of all living beings, that by such instructions, their hearts may be fully satisfied. They may find that Atma supersidity, right? So take the essence of all the yoga literature, boil it down for us, present to us what brings the highest good for all living entities and what will give them complete satisfaction of the soul. It's saying that there are many methods, and it's not that they're not all valid, but among them, which one leads to the complete satisfaction of the soul? And so when we get to the second chapter of the Bhagavatam, that's where these questions are answered. And the verse, text number 6, is a very famous verse. Savai pungsa paro dharmo yato bhaktir hoksaje hoitiki apratiyataya yatma supersidity. This is the direct answer to that question. That savai pungsa paro dharmo, for all humanity, the paro dharma, the highest dharma of all the methods, all the yoga practices, all the different paths, the highest dharma, paro dharma, yato bhaktir hoksaje, is bhakti offered to God. Right? It's Bhakti-yogi, he's saying. And he's saying it has to be ahoitiki apratiyata. It has to be without any selfish motivation, right? And it has to be steadily done, uninterrupted. And that will grant what? Atma supersidity, complete satisfaction of the soul. Yen Atma supersidity.
Put that verse on the chat board, Maraji.
That's text, Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 6. Okay, so that's the answer to the sage's questions for the first answer. Right? He says, you're asking me about all the different yoga methods that are, I'm sharing all this because we said before that the king said, I'm going to sit down on the bank of Krishna's river. I'm going to meditate on Krishna. Those verses were saying that this is he's rejecting all other yoga methods, just so narrowing it down to this one and saying that only Krishna can grant liberation. And that he's even beyond the other devas. And what I'm saying is it's not a sectarian way of looking at it. It's just saying it's not saying that these other paths aren't valid, but they all ultimately, and if you say they all lead to the same place, it's because they lead to this path that ultimately leads to the ultimate goal. And that is pure divine love. I'm sorry?
You know how I explain this one, especially this verse, is the Param Dharma or the Paro Dharmo.
Mm-hmm.
Because the word dharma is thrown around so much, not just in yoga circles, in Hindu culture. Dharma, do your dharma. Ask anybody in India almost what the goal of the Gita is. They'll say, do your dharma.
Yeah.
But it actually minimizes dharma to say, actually, the dharma also has a goal. The goal of dharma is this ahaituki apratiyata, where unmotivated, uninterrupted, loving service to the personality of Godhead. It's not just to be dharmic. It's not just to be good. It's the old argument also with where do ethics come from? Why be moral if there's no source of morality? This is like an ongoing thing that religionists in the West will have with an atheist. Well, where is morality coming from? What is good? In some cultures, it's okay to. In India, it's like frowned upon to kill a cow. In America, it's completely normalized. So where is goodness or badness coming from? So in the idea of Dharma, where are we getting Dharma? Why are we getting our ethics from? And where are we going? Is it just to create a nation of good people or a world of good people? But the idea of our good should bring us to this point where we are connected with God. And when we see God in every being, and we're not just being responsible without this love. And it's putting love as the current behind why we're doing everything.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. You know, the Bhagavad-Gita kind of concludes, like it's not the very last verse in the Gita, but it's kind of the last instruction by Krishna. And it's considered to be the conclusive verse. Krishna says, Sarva Dharma Parityaja.
Which almost sounds like a heretic.
Yeah, give up all Dharma. Right?
Abandon Dharma.
Abandon all Dharma. But then he says, Mam ekam sharanam vraja. But just take complete shelter of me. In a way, it's saying there are many different temporary dharmas. There are many different relative dharmas out there. But let go of them all and embrace the one essential dharma. The one dharma that is the very nature of your soul. Connect yourself to your divine source. Connect to me, Krishna is saying, right?
You know, go ahead.
And we see that that's what Maharaj Pariksit does here. He says, I've got 7 days to live. I'm going to go right to the essence of everything. Sarva Dharma Parityāja. I'm going to give up my duties as a king. My dharma as a king. I'm going to give up my duties as a husband. I'm going to give up my duties as this and that and the other. I'm going to give up all other yoga practices. I'm going to go right to, Sarva Dharma Parityāja, give it up. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. And I'm going to exclusively, wholly, entirely connect to that most essential dharma, which here in the Bhagavatam, it starts there, right? Savai pungsa paro dharma, the highest dharma, is yato bhakti hoksajay, to connect to Krishna with bhakti, with love. Love is ultimately a higher principle. Love is, although the Vedas will talk about material piety and the material gains that come from that, if that's going to be a step towards ultimate love, then it's moving in the same direction. But if it just stops there, then you never got to the goal. Letting go of all of your material attachments and becoming free from material anxieties, that can be a step towards that too. But it only is completed when, from that state of peace, you use that as a way of ultimately taking the next step of connecting with God. So you can say that all the paths are leading to one place if that's actually what you're doing. But if you see the material gain or the freedom from material suffering as the ultimate goal, then you haven't understood that you haven't taken it to the end of the path. And right here, he says, I'm going to focus on the goal of it all. I'm going to let go. It's not sectarian. He's saying it's the synthesis, right? That I can recognize that there's truth in all the paths, but I can also recognize that all the paths ultimately lead to one goal if you follow them, and that is bhakti. And so that's why he says, I've got 7 days left to live. I'm going out to Krishna's river. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to meditate on Krishna, because that is what all the Vedic literature ultimately leads to. Hit it. You got it? That was the key.
Would have been a good spot. It was we'll drop that mic. Boom, here's the music.
All right.
Anyway, how am I supposed to recreate that? Here we go.
Have you got it? Okay, there you go.
Ooh, yeah. And this is why we're giving up. This is why it's transcendental to caste. It's transcendental to your birthright. To be in love, you just have to be in love and focus that love on the divine. And everything else is just meant to, they're just sort of things that are supposed to assist you, but not get caught up in that. There you go. Thanks.
What's tomorrow, Raghu?
What's that?
What's tomorrow?
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
What's tomorrow? Question and answer day.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were going to say sleep in Saturday.
Sleep in Saturday, question and answer day. If you have a question, mail it into Mara at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. Thanks for everybody for joining us here. Man, if you haven't gotten on Apple Podcasts and write a little review, get on there today. Write a little review. Give it a 5-star review. It helps us in the podcast community. And this is a community-supported podcast. If you like what we're doing, you can join patreon.com/wisdomofthesages, and you get we created a whole live yoga school. We created a vault, a treasure chest that you can what's the word I used, Mara?
Unlock?
unlock various goodies for your yogic wisdom with transcendental teachers, other planetary presenters, metaphysical mentors, cool swamis, wise mommies, workshops on everything from studying kirtan, Ayurveda, meditation, Ayurvedic cooking, sacred stories, karma theory, as well as a whole budding 12-step program, Bhakti-centered 12-step program. Please join us there. And thanks for everybody. I'm always impressed by people joining us on a regular basis. Now, let's get everybody in this room to clap their hands. Ah!